In general, statutory law doesn't tell peace officers specifically how to do their job. The Code of Criminal Procedure makes an exception for family violence and outlines several specific responsibilities of peace officers who respond to family violence incidents. First, the Code of Criminal Procedure makes it clear duties of peace officers or prosecutors may not be waived in any family violence case just because a relationship exists between the actor and victim. And, furthermore, a peace officer's or magistrate's duty to prevent family violence isn't negated solely because of the relationship between the actor and the victim. So more or less, this is saying the law prohibits peace officers from ignoring a criminal offense just because it occurred between two or more members of a household. The days of the police telling an abuser, "If we have to come out here one more time tonight, you'll go to jail," are long over. The Code of Criminal Procedure states the primary duties of a peace officer who investigates a family violence allegation or who responds to a disturbance call that may involve family violence are to protect any potential victim of family violence, enforce the law of the state, enforce a protective order, and make lawful arrests of violators. The Code of Criminal Procedure also states a peace officer who investigates a family violence allegation or who responds to a disturbance call that may involve family violence shall determine whether or not the address of the persons involved is a current licensed foster home or verified agency foster home listed in the state law enforcement database known as TCIC. Next, the Code of Criminal Procedure states a peace officer who investigates a family violence allegation or who again responds to a disturbance call that may involve family violence shall advise any possible adult victim of all reasonable means to prevent further family violence, including giving written notice of a victim's legal rights and remedies, and the availability of shelter or other community services for family violence victims. This written notice is very important. Each law enforcement agency in Texas typically has their own victims assistance pamphlet or family violence pamphlet. This pamphlet constitutes written notice and should include the information required by Code of Criminal Procedure Article 5.04 in both English and Spanish. Peace officers are required to provide this information to the victim in all cases. Next, the Code of Criminal Procedure states, in the discretion of a peace officer, the officer may return with a victim of family violence to their residence so they can retrieve essential personal property for themselves or their child. This may be referred to in law enforcement terms as a civil standby. So, for example, a wife who has been a past victim of family violence and fears for her safety needs to get clothing and toiletries from her house where her estranged husband is at so she can go and stay with her parents. The Code of Criminal Procedure states, a peace officer who provides this assistance is not civilly liable for an act or omission of the officer that arises either in connection with providing the assistance or determining whether or not to provide the assistance, or civilly or criminally liable for the wrongful appropriation of any personal property by the victim. Next, a peace officer who investigates a family violence incident or who responds to a disturbance call that may involve family violence shall make a written report, including, but not limited to, the names of the suspect and complainant, the date, time, and location of the incident, any visible or reported injuries, a description of the incident and a statement of its disposition, and finally, whether the suspect is a member of the military or on active duty. If the suspect is a military member, the peace officer must notify the staff judge advocate of Joint Force Headquarters or the military police or security forces of the military installation to which the suspect is assigned. If one or more of the addresses of the persons involved is a current licensed foster home or verified agency foster home, the peace officer shall notify the Department of Family and Protective Services, orally or electronically, within 24 hours of the beginning of the investigation or receipt of the disturbance call. Finally, each law enforcement agency shall establish a departmental code for identifying and retrieving family violence reports and be able to notify responding officers of the existence of protective orders and persons protected at dispatched addresses.